because Europe doesn't understand that it's not the shot caller here. The United States is the shot caller. We alone call the shots, and we have dictated that there will be peace in Ukraine and that relations with Russia will improve. It's the only sane thing to do. To head down a path of seeking to confront Russia only leads to one outcome, and that is a nuclear war that destroys everybody. The United States, under the leadership of President Trump, has decided that's not a path we want to go down. Therefore, anybody who opposes American policy, this isn't a simple policy disagreement. This is an issue of existential survival for the United States and the world. I'll say that one more time just so it sinks in. If you oppose America's peace plan in Ukraine, America's efforts to reconcile with Russia, to normalize relations with Russia, then you are becoming an existential threat to the national security in the United States, and you will be treated as such. You will be destroyed. Not physically. We're not out to declare war against you. But you name one European nation, I can tell you how in 6 months we can collapse their economy and cause their governments to fail. There's not a single government in Europe that can withstand the might of the United States, the economic and political might. We can isolate anybody instantaneously. Do we want to do this? No. But we're not going to stand by idly while Europe seeks to put the American people at existential risk by continuing a war that should never have been fought.
Europe is sleepwalking toward its own destruction, and the United States holds the leash. The message is clear. Washington alone dictates the future of Ukraine, the fate of Russia, and the survival of European governments. Step out of line, and collapse is inevitable. Scott Ritter paints a chilling picture. Europe is no longer in control of its own destiny. The United States, under Trump's leadership, has chosen to normalize relations with Russia, and any resistance to this agenda is seen as a direct threat to American national security. This isn't just diplomacy, it's survival. Ritter warns that if Europe dares to challenge the U.S. vision for peace, Washington has the power to dismantle entire economies and bring down governments in mere months. The stakes? Nothing less than nuclear war or submission. We've just analyzed Scott's perspective on the geopolitical landscape, particularly the shifting balance of power and the vulnerabilities of major nations. But now, let's shift our focus to something far more immediate and urgent, the war in Ukraine. As of March 4th, 2025, the situation has taken a dramatic turn. The battlefield is evolving, the political landscape is shifting, and the stakes for Ukraine have never been higher. From the shocking decision by the United States to suspend military aid to secret negotiations involving Russia and Iran and the brutal clashes on the front lines, today's developments will shape the future of this war. So, let's dive deep into the latest updates. The war in Ukraine has entered a new and dangerous phase. As of today, March 4th, 2025, one of the biggest blows to Ukraine's war effort has come from an unexpected source. Not from the battlefield, but from Washington, D.C. The United States has officially suspended all military aid to Ukraine until Kyiv demonstrates a commitment to peace talks. This decision, confirmed by Fox News citing the White House, is nothing short of an earthquake for Ukraine's military strategy. This move effectively halts the flow of crucial weapons and equipment, grinding the already difficult Ukrainian war effort to a halt. The White House has made it clear only Donald Trump has the power to restart the aid, and yet President Zelensky refuses to negotiate. Zelensky's reluctance to engage in public discussions with Trump has raised eyebrows in Washington. Reports indicate that American officials have pressured him to apologize for past tensions, but the Ukrainian leader has refused, knowing that an apology could weaken his position and embolden Russian aggression. At precisely 4:30 a.m. Moscow time, U.S. military supplies to Ukraine officially stopped. According to Bloomberg, this freeze affects weapons outside of Ukraine, meaning that even deliveries that were in transit have now been halted. A European official told CNN that without U.S. support, Ukraine can only sustain its current fighting pace until the summer. Once supplies start dwindling, the consequences could be catastrophic, especially as Ukraine faces severe shortages in air defense missiles and HIMARS rocket systems. And if that wasn't enough, today's revelations suggest a high-stakes geopolitical maneuvering behind the scenes. According to pro-Western sources, Trump has reportedly asked Vladimir Putin to mediate nuclear negotiations with Iran. In an extraordinary move, Russia has agreed. Bloomberg reports that this request was made directly by Trump to Putin during a phone call, followed by a face-to-face meeting between U.S. and Russian delegations in Riyadh. This raises a deeply troubling question. Is Trump willing to give Russia a free hand in Ukraine in exchange for Iran? The logic here is chilling. If Iran has moved under Russia's strategic defense umbrella, then the U.S. may feel compelled to soften its stance on Ukraine in order to secure a deal on Iranian nuclear weapons. This theory is reinforced by reports from January 17, 2025, when Iran's president visited Moscow to finalize a comprehensive strategic partnership with Russia. The timing of Trump's outreach suggests that Washington recognizes Russia now holds the keys to controlling Iran, and if Trump wants a deal, he may have to offer something in return. While Washington pulls back, Europe is stepping up. Ursula von der Leyen, president of the European Commission, has announced an €800 billion plan to rearm Europe, with an additional €150 billion in defense investment loans. In a speech this morning, she declared, "We are in the era of rearming. Europe is ready to assume its responsibilities." This represents a dramatic escalation, one that could set the stage for a massive military confrontation between NATO and Russia in the near future. But while European leaders scramble to prepare for an uncertain future, Ukraine is running out of options. With Zelensky's leverage shrinking, some voices in Washington are already speculating that Trump's ultimate goal may be to force him out of office. If Zelensky won't agree to peace talks, someone else might, and that someone could be more willing to cut a deal that favors Trump's interests. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Ukrainian forces are struggling to maintain their positions as Russian offensives intensify. Some of the most brutal fighting is happening in the Siversk-Soledar-Bakhmut corridor, where Russian troops, particularly the 83rd Brigade, have made significant advances. Over the past 24 hours, Russian units secured over 50% of Jarafa, a critical settlement near Bakhmut. With their positions strengthened in the central sector, Ukrainian forces now control only the southern outskirts. If Russia continues its current momentum, Ukrainian troops will likely be forced to retreat towards Bakhmut, making the defense of the region even more precarious. Another major battleground is Lipivka, where Ukrainian sources confirm that Russia now controls at least 60 to 70% of the settlement. Previously, Russian military bloggers had claimed full control, but Ukrainian resistance in the eastern sector suggests that the village remains contested for now. A Russian sabotage and reconnaissance team has reportedly destroyed critical bridges between Kazachi, Lopan, and Sudja, severing key Ukrainian logistics routes. This could be a game-changer, as Ukrainian forces will now struggle to reinforce and resupply their northern defensive lines. If Russia capitalizes on this disruption, it could lead to a major breakthrough in the coming days. One of the few bright spots for Ukraine is the successful clearance of Andriivka. Ukrainian forces have reclaimed the village after intense combat, dealing heavy losses to Russian troops in the process. However, the victory comes at a cost. Ukraine is expending resources at an unsustainable rate, and without U.S. aid, holding on to reclaimed territory will become increasingly difficult. As the dust settles, one thing is clear: Ukraine is in serious trouble. The loss of U.S. military aid is a devastating blow, one that could tip the balance of power in Russia's favor. Meanwhile, Trump's secret negotiations with Putin suggest that the White House is more focused on securing a nuclear deal with Iran than supporting Ukraine's fight for survival. With Europe rearming at an unprecedented scale, we may be witnessing the beginning of a new phase of this war, one that could determine the fate of Ukraine, Russia, and the entire global order. And so, as the war rages on and diplomacy takes unpredictable twists and turns, the only certainty is uncertainty itself. The coming weeks will be critical, and the world will be watching. The battlefield is shifting, and the stakes couldn't be higher. With U.S. aid to Ukraine suddenly cut off, Trump maneuvering between Russia and Iran, and European leaders scrambling to rearm, the entire geopolitical landscape is at a breaking point. Will Ukraine withstand the pressure? Is the West prepared to step up? And what does Russia's latest push on the front lines mean for the future of this war? We're witnessing history unfold in real time. If you found this analysis insightful, make sure to like this video so more people can stay informed. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into the latest battlefield developments. And as always, drop a comment below. Do you think Ukraine can hold the line, or is this the beginning of a major shift in the war? Let's discuss. Stay tuned. More updates coming soon.